Look at her. Good girl, Mariko. She's like, let me not have these men swinging swords in this house. Figuratively or literally. She terrifies me, guys. She actually terrifies me. Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha, K Geek XX Chic, and we are back with another reaction to Shōgun. We're now on to episode 5, which is called Broken to the Fist. That just sounds horrible. And probably quite literal in this particular show. So last episode, we got a little bit more of a character building episode. We got to know a little bit more about how this whole war is being set up by Toranaga. He sent some people off to the seaside village that's run by Yabashige to start training his men and to basically get John set up to help his army while he went off to take care of some other business. And we see that during that time, John and Mariko began to get a lot closer. She got to spend more time with him and see what kind of a man he is outside of the fact that he's a Protestant and a foreigner. And we see that they actually had quite a bit in common. And that little spark of attraction we saw back in episode 3 was really starting to grow. And then there is the, I guess, debate of whether or not it was Mariko who ended up taking their relationship past the level of just, what would you say, workmates into something more. Some people think that it was her. Other people are saying that she isn't. I don't even know anymore. I couldn't really see. It was very dark on my screen, but hey, we'll find out soon enough, I'm sure. But either way, those two are a lot closer than they used to be, and it's pretty clear that they have romantic feelings for each other. Then outside of that, we see that Ishida sent some people out to this village to see what was going on, particularly with Yabashige, because Yabu was supposed to be on his side. He was supposed to be working with him, and it looks like he's sided with Toranaga, which, of course, we know that Yabu is trying to play both sides of the fence. He just really doesn't want to get cut from either side, which of course has put him in trouble with both. When the men showed up, basically saying, you got to come back with us to Osaka to face the music, otherwise you're going to be a traitor. He has to think of some way to get out of it. And so the way he does is that he invites them to stay the night and get a demonstration of what they've been doing in the seaside village, which of course would be terrible, because if they already know what to expect from what Toranaga is planning, that automatically will put Toranaga at a disadvantage in this upcoming conflict that's coming their way. So Yabashige and Omi, pardon me, they talk about the fact that they have to do something, and they come up with a plan that sadly works in the sense of getting Toranaga's son, who they noticed is very hungry for recognition, very hungry to get out from under his father's shadow. He wants to make a name for himself, and they basically just put the pieces in motion and say the right things, and sadly, he just eats it up and ends up making a serious move at the end of the episode by taking out all of these men that were sent as representatives and saying that he's doing it in the name of his father. It's sad to see that he walked into that trap, but hey, ego is going to get you every single time, right? So we ended the episode with Mariko saying that this is going to be war now. Like, there's no avoiding it. This was an act of war, and it's going to basically be getting real spicy from here on out. So I'm very interested to see how we're going to kick this off, where we're going to go from here, and what Toranaga's going to say when he finds out that his son possibly got this ball rolling sooner than he planned. So let's jump into the episode, but just before I do, a reminder that if you'd like to be notified of when I do reactions to this show or anything else you might be watching of mine, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. And if you're liking this video, I'd appreciate it so much if you showed it some love with some thumbs up and comments below. I appreciate them very much. All right, that out of the way, let's get into the episode right now. Yikes. Who'd want that job? Oh, okay. Yeah. Right? Like, we were just sitting here fishing quietly a week ago. Well, that's Toranaga's spy. Oh, he's gonna let Toranaga know what happened. Holy crap, what? Did Ishida already send them? He must have already sent them out. Is it Ishida? Or it's Toranaga? Oh, thank God. Oh my God. Did I not say that my man Toranaga was already playing chess? He's not going to be proud of you, son. You better stop grinning. Yeah, you weren't counting on that, were you, Yabashige? You never know what this man's thinking. Who is this? I knew it! I knew Bantoro was alive! Did I not say no body, no crime? Oh, things are about to get spicy. I know, honey. I know. Freedom was this close. It was this close. Oh, man. I mean, it doesn't mean he's going to stay alive, though. We're about to hit a war right away. Not that I'm wishing death on this man, but divorce wasn't really a thing back then. It was very much a death do you part situation. But I'm not mad, though, because Buntaro's a really good fighter, and we need all the good fighters we can get. This is the heir's mom, right? Yeah. Mockery? Really? He shouldn't have had to escape. I thought he wasn't a prisoner. Oh, did he do that? Did he do that? Damn. Damn. Who's that? Ooh, when we're right back to arguing. Not syphilis. Okay, wow, wow. Wow. I don't think he cares. That family doesn't have very good luck with health, huh? If it's the right person they're referring to, we got syphilis and, what's it called? Leprosy? That's nuts. Oh, God. You okay? You okay? Yeah, someone in my comments was mentioning that Toranaga was counting on the fact that they wouldn't be able to come to a conclusion about the next region. It looks like that was the right gamble. Yeah, she's like, aw, and disappointment. Oh, she translated the whole thing. If you insist. Yeah, what about my man? Oh, God. Real? Wow. Okay, not you creating a whole drama. A whole soap opera right under this man's roof. I think he knows that's not his son's idea. It was. Absolutely will. Yeah, your dad's he's ticked off at you, bro. He's not too old for a spanking, you know. Oh, do you? Right? That you played right into his own hands? Exactly. Yep. Your dad knows you better. Exactly. He knows you more than you know yourself. Yeah. Don't you dare call me father right now. How? Okay. All right, foot soldiers. That's like Butaro. Is that you, son? Exactly. That was Yabashige. Woo! You're lucky he let you live. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, bro. That's the least he could have done, honestly. If your daddy had been black or y'all had a black mama and you did all that, whoo, you wouldn't sit for a month. Are those the pieces of your people? Yep. I think he sees that.
One of my first chores was cleaning game. My father would poach from the estate in Chatham. Watch this. Mite kudasai. Now we'll hang it up for a few days.
She's like, what is happening?
There we are.
Something tells me you've done something wrong. Yeah, she's like, it's gonna get nasty.
No one is to touch this bird.
No one understands a word that you're saying.
Aye.
Or why. Damn. She's like, so we gotta sit here with this stink? We just got you to bathe. We just got you bathing a week ago. And now you want us to sit there with a dead bird. You need to explain, sir. That's true. Something tells me he doesn't want natto again, though.
無事にご生還そばされ何よりでござります。
マリコはどこじゃ
Working.
長様の野人に参られました。
Yeah, she's working.
わしもここに投留せよと虎長様に仰せつけられ
She's like, why would he do that?
日照を得られたのでございますから、存分におもてなしさせてくださりませ。
Exactly. Just
番
whatever.
の奥方とはどんなもんじゃ
Not that bad.
私は旗本の性質でございますゆえ、わかりかねまする。
Thank you. She said, I respect him now. His name is
や
Hatamoto.
つねお前と寝たのか
Ew, no.
安神様には私より好みに合う女子がおりますので。
Oh, ma'am. Why would you say that?
自分は万人の女子だけ相手にしておればよいのじゃ
Oh, come on now. The world is just love, sir. People be mixing it up and they have been for centuries, sir. Stop it. And I'm pretty sure you'd be fine if a barbarian woman showed up in your bedroom. So let's not even play, sir.
されど、わしが十分後ろに下がってからにしてもらいたい。根原上前の二の前にはなりと。
Yeah, we don't know when those cameras might just go off in the wrong way, huh?
いつも通り全てお見通しでござりまするな。
I do.
どうなさるおつもりかな。
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
虎長様のもとにとどま。
Maybe I don't want you to.
もしや長門をそそのかし、
Mm-hmm.
上前らを攻撃させたのは、
Mm.
への返答を遅らせることができ、
Yeah.
これから先も双方に。
Yeah. Oh my, sir, can you give it up? Give it up. This man knows your mind entirely.
報告させまいとしてご決断されたのでござい
He's
ます。
like, I know my child.
どんな策略を思いつくほど賢く。
Thank you. I love my son, but he's a dummy.
恐れながら我が追い主向けたことかと存じまする。
Wow. Wow. The man's throwing everybody under this bus.
大耳は。拙者が
Oh, will you? Sure.
初めておきます。
KK.
法案を編み出してくれた末頼もしき若武者をわしが懲らしめねばならない。
Oh, it didn't go the way you thought it was gonna, huh?
わしの負けは火を見るより明らかであった。
Oh my god.
じゃがおいご殿のおかげで、
Mm.
キャツラの方から討ち入れて、
Mhm.
ここにおる我らを攻めるより他のうなったのじゃ。
That's right.
折にございまする。それがしも同じことを。
You don't have. Okay. Yabu really gets on my nerves, y'all. Yeah, that I'm promoting him.
しておる大砲隊
Yep. Oh my god. I love Toranaga. Toranaga, your mind is the sexiest thing. It is so sexy.
お前がまだ見つけ出せぬ患者が隠れ蓑にするにはもってこいじゃな。
Oh, you're blaming the spy?
あろうことか、このわしの領地でじゃ。
Still talking so loud when you don't know who the spy is.
もしご所望であれば、逮捕隊はお重にお譲
He
り。
knows. You know he can't.
もともとわしのものである大砲隊をどのようにしてわしに譲ると申すのじゃ。
Not division in the ranks. If there is something that Toranaga is good at, it is splitting people up. Oh, that'd be so disgusting. Are you doing this just to piss Toranaga off? Is that it? I'm trying to figure out if he genuinely was being genuine about that bird thing, or if he's just doing it because he's still pissed at Toranaga for not giving him the ship.
神様がたたり神のように台所を汚されたと思うと、黄泉の国から舞い戻られようと。
Ooh.
焼き食いの種がまた一つ増えました。
So she knows she don't want her husband back. Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you feel like should be preparing for
Now, why would you think that?
Dinner?
Exactly.
dinner?
And you will be a gracious host.
Right? Behave yourself, and everything should go fine. He hates you, by the way. Maybe she should have at least told him that. My husband hates you, so be prepared for him to be extraordinarily rude.
いわば臓器が生い茂るだけの茂みに過ぎませぬ。
If you say so. I do love the garden, though. It's beautiful. Bow. Okay. Good start. Good start, John.
ようこそおいでくるさいました文太郎様。
Well done.
Wishes for you to address him as Toda-sama, as Bintaro is reserved only for those close to him.
Makes sense.
早く長く飛ぶぞ
You can believe
He knows
that.
that in the hands of a true samurai, the bow and sword will always outmatch the cannon.
That's an opinion.
Oh, perhaps we should have a friendly contest sometime.
Sir, get rid of that damn pheasant.
We call it English rabbit stew. Now, admittedly, I had to substitute for the ingredients sake, sherry.
Maybe you should have that on your own, John. I know you tasted the natto, and listen, we respect it a lot,
We are
but
particular eaters, Anjin-sama.
yes,
It is our loss.
exactly. Thank you. You keep that to yourself now.
It's not the same without sherry anyway.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
There you go.
You need to drink enough to not be able to taste it. Again, the texture of that looks terrible. And I've had rabbit before. It's just, that just doesn't look good. Yes, he doesn't eat the way you do.
The sound you make while eating reveals the depth of your pleasure.
Well translated. Look at her. Good girl, Mariko. She's like, let me not have these men swinging swords in this house. Figuratively or literally. That's right. I love that she did it to annoy her husband, Mariko.
もっと大きな杯でお酒を召し上がるそうでございます。
Exactly. Let's just tailor that message. Oh, he wants a drinking
The size of the
competition.
sake cup helps us to enjoy the drink and
Well, she tried to keep the sword swinging from happening, but I guess not. But he's gonna do it. You know why? Because men. Great. Now she's not gonna have one but two drunken idiots. What did Mariko do to deserve this? Look at her. She's like, who is being impressed by this? Because I'm not.
それからその肉汁は海に捨ててほしい。
Pour that stew into the sea.
Ask her husband if he'd share the story of his escape in Osaka. I'm never too late for a good story.
I mean, John's trying to bond. If they gotta live together, maybe this'll work.
武勇は死人を飾るも
Ooh.
の。物語は子供に聞かせるものじゃ。
Okay. I figured it might be a bit too much of a PTSD thing right now.
こいつは虎長様の体を鍛錬する立派な侍だろう。
I like how they're just showcasing the cultural differences on viewpoints on things like war.
My husband is tired and has had a lot to drink. You
Yes.
must tell him the story.
She's like, please, for the peace,
Words carefully.
for the peace. You started this.
The gateway of your house. He asks you to choose a post.
But he's going to shoot it.
The left or the right.
Yeah, you're out here poking his ego, bro. What did you expect?
Right.
右の柱を。
If he hits it drunk. No, no.
Move.
John. Mariko, you are a G! She's a G! She said, listen, I may not like my husband, but I know his skills and I ain't scared of him.
Mariko-sama, get out of the fucking way.
Same hole. Damn, Bontaro's no joke, y'all. He may be a dick, but he's no joke. She said, I know my man. May not like him, but don't insult him again. And she asked you to cut it out.
But while I understand that in this country, like mine, a man's wife is his property. But I believe strongly
The times, the times,
his
the times.
wife merits better.
夫の意のままにして良いのでござりましょう。されど安心様は妻をもっと丁重に扱ってはいかがかとおっしゃっておられ
Oh,
ます。
she did? Okay, good for you, Mariko.
お前を丁重に扱いじゃぞ。こやつにお前の氏筋を教えてやれ。
That doesn't mean anything to him yet. We didn't get that full story when that last episode about her name.
お前にどんな横島な汚れた血が流れておるのか教えてやれ。
That's your baby mama, sir. Jesus.
Mariko-sama, you don't have to do this.
She kind of does.
真の娘じゃろうが。
Oh, he was an assassin.
Kuroda-sama was corrupt and murderous, and so my father killed him out of love for the realm.
Yeah, tell her
Because
truth.
he was hunted along with my family. All of my brothers, sisters.
So you're the sole survivor? Damn. No wonder Toranaga's
They
so
all know
protective of
before
her.
My father, who was forced to execute them one by one
Oh, God.
before committing seppuku himself.
God. Wow.
I was just married and not permitted to fight.
That's what Toranaga was talking about.
I asked my husband to let me take action against this injustice
He said nope.
because my husband orders me to live. Excuse me.
Yeah.
誰が下がっておいと申した。
Jesus.
マリコ!
Let her go. Please, bro. You knew what you were doing by making her talk. Let her go. You made your point. You heard her. Happy? Both y'all men can go, honestly. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to interfere, John. I'm gonna need you to interfere.
安神様にこのようなありさまをお見せしてはなりませんなんだ。
Oh, Christ.
お止めいたしましたが。
I know.
出て行ってくださりませ。この家で騒ぎを起こされたら、安神様の恥となりますゆえ。
All right, don't do anything dumb, John. I mean, I know her husband absolutely deserves some shit, but bro, why? I mean, I kind of had a feeling it was going to end up this way when he was still alive, but God, so soon? This is the power of alcohol and just way too much bravado, folks.
その方の屋敷の輪を乱してしまうな。何卒ご勘弁を。
Yeah, they take honor seriously in this country.
Sake! Is that your excuse? Get up, you bastard! On your feet!
It's not going to go your way, John.
You piece of shit.
Okay, I don't know what you were thinking, Toranaga, but this is not going to work out well. They're not going to make it the month. And he didn't miss. Did not miss. Drunk. Oh, such a peaceful morning. Thank God, right? Oh, I need the spy to be okay, guys. I just don't want him to be taken out. And I feel like he's going to get caught. Why are we following him again?
藪重が村で患者を探し回っておるようじゃな。
He is.
拙者が名乗り出ること何卒お許しくださいませ。
I don't think he wants that.
患者の役目を続けよう。
ならばいかがいたしましょう。
その方の身代わりをあてがってやれ。
Frame somebody? You gonna be okay with that? It's a new Catholic?
本日来たってや。村で噂が立っておりまする。このお屋敷はたたり神。
Right? Like, can we? Something's gotta give, bro. Can the woman get a moment? She did say she needed some time to herself, bro.
All of this is my doing.
Mariko-sama, your husband's brutality is no fault of yours.
That part's true. Very true.
Don't put it behind that folded fence of yours, whatever you call it. I see you. You're disgust for him. If you want to be free of that shitless coward, then be free of him.
Okay, it's that easy, huh? Right?
I will give my husband nothing, not even my hatred.
Exactly. He doesn't deserve
Because
it.
that is what he merits.
Exactly.
And I understand the sentiment, but you take it too far. Honestly, shuffling around with your manners and your buried self for what?
Sir, she lives in Japan.
I would not expect for you to understand.
My life is mine, and yours is yours.
Maybe.
You can't see that. You'll never be free of this prison.
He makes points.
If freedom is all you ever live for, you will never be free of yourself.
Interesting.
But from this day forward, the only words we share will be from others' lips.
Ooh, she said, don't talk to me. It's not really on you, John, although you did exacerbate the situation. But I will never blame anybody else for someone deciding to put hands on someone. That was 1000% Buntaro.
What is it?
We got rid of it because we couldn't take it anymore.
It's been up there long enough anyway. Where'd you go? Yoroshi.
What did he do?
Don't
Did
take
he...
it.
Oh, right. You said take it and he dies. Yeah, remember? They take shit literally here, John.
You put that old man to death. Over a stinking, God-cursed pheasant.
It's messed up, John, but it's their culture. And I've been saying for episodes now, you need to start understanding it.
Why in Christ's name didn't you ask me?
She tried!
All of you! Go away!
Snow sliding off the roof. Wow. This is so sad because I understand where John's coming from, but I keep saying he needs to start understanding this culture.
どうしようが文太郎も勝手じゃが今わしの通詞を痛めつけるのは勘弁ならぬ
Well, which is it, sir?
I feel I have now fulfilled that duty. I ask that my ship and my men be returned to me so that I may leave.
Oh, don't want to trade anymore?
この国を永久に出ていきたいと仰せでございます。
二人とも
He's like, yeah, I can pick up the fact that there's some beef here. Do I need to ask?
I'm troubled by your whole damn country. Only the meaningless rituals you're trapped in.
Wow, that's judgy.
Ujiro, who died for nothing.
To you?
It is my understanding that you ordered no one to touch that bird.
Mm-hmm.
The bird meant nothing to me.
Yeah, well, they didn't know
Words
that.
gave it meaning.
Exactly. Words mean things here.
ざる事には構っておれん
Right? Y'all have your little squabble outside of my time. I got things to do, like plan a war.
So someone had to steal it and bury it. And Wijiro announced that he had been sick lately, so he volunteered. He died for a great purpose.
In
It was a
his
better end than he
exactly.
could have hoped for.
That is what he believed, and that's what's important.
There is no use dwelling on what cannot be undone.
How can you believe that?
We live. And we die. We control nothing beyond that.
Uh-oh. Someone's coming. Someone's coming. Or an earthquake. Another earthquake! Landslide! Move, 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 move! Holy shnikey, Tornaga, get out of the way. I mean, I don't think they were moving, bro. The ground was. No, Tornaga, please, God. Get him. Ah, weed in the dirt. Dig, you bastards. Dig faster. Thank God he's in that loud ass outfit. You will die for striking my back. Guess you owe him your life. Again. Poor ladies are like, we had to run down in these skirts. I would have been right there.
These belong to Fuji's father. They may not be much, but I'd be honored if he would accept this gift.
Right? He's like, this day. John is he's a quandary, that one. Please don't tell me that the army's coming. Not now, please. The army. The military encampment. No. Bro, I don't know, Tornado. I'm starting to feel like someone up there don't like you, bro. This comes back to what Mariko was saying about how their villages get wiped away and then they have to rebuild them over and over again because of nature. Was he gonna go check his house for Fuji? Is she alive? Oh, thank goodness. Hang in there, Fuji. You're a tough one. Hang in there, girl. Maybe this was the gardener. This was retribution for the gardener, right? God said, this is what you get. Oh, he's picking up his rock. That's right. The symbolism of him putting that rock back up again. Because that's what you got to do in this life. You get knocked down, you got to pick yourself up, plant, and start going again.
おじ上の仰せの通り、不埒な患者めが暗躍しておったようでござる。誰の家じゃ？年寄りの庭師でござりまする。名は上次郎、万人の屋敷に仕えておりました。
Oh, look at him trying to do it in a way that no one has to die.
運のいいやつじゃ。
Do they believe it? Oh, I hope they believe it. If he did, that is genius. Because he did it in a way that no one in the village would have to be unnecessarily killed for something they didn't do. Oh, who's this? Oh, right. There's Mom. I don't think she's happy to be back. Other than her baby, of course. Release? Interesting.
一杯食わされたとも聞いております。
Why would you bring that up so quickly?
またもや虎長にたばかられ、動きを封じられたと。
Did I misjudge her entirely?
辛抱が足らぬことですまぬ。
Did she take out her husband?
太閤様のお世継ぎにあだなすものあらば、この一度命をかけて。
しからば、
Really?
もはや戦議は終わったと思ってよいのじゃな。
She terrifies me, guys. She actually terrifies me.
しかと聞かせてもらいましょうぞ。
Really? Yeah, no, she terrifies me because she looks like she means that. She means it. Okay. All right. This is an interesting development because the last time we saw anything about, is it Ochibana? It was back in episode 2 when we saw the flashback and she kept looking at Toranaga. Now, I didn't know what to make of those looks because it was like 4 different looks and they were like making that eye contact. And I thought maybe something was going on there. And apparently they said Toranaga and her, something almost happened at one point. But what if things changed? What if now she's anti-Toranaga? Like maybe she's mad that speculating here, spitballing, but what if it was a situation where Toranaga and her were together, she wanted to be with Toranaga, Toranaga was like, the old Taiko's my BFF, I can't do that, bros over hoes, and he said, no, I'm not gonna marry you because he wants to marry you, and she was like, bro, what the, I mean, my theory might still stand about her actually being pregnant with Toranaga's baby. And he was like, and then she was probably like, look, I'm about to have your kid. We got to be together. And he was like, you're going to have to figure it out because I'm not marrying you. So she was like, fine. Got on him, made him think it was his kid. And now she's been mad at Toranaga ever since. Because women be like that, you know. Sometimes we just be holding that grudge long term. I don't know. Maybe I just turned it into a soap opera unnecessarily. But her deal, I'm interested to find out what it is. Because that look was terrifying. You know when a woman just has that cold but friendly veneer? That friendliness, you know, is not actually real. Like her eyes were dead ass, even though she's like, oh, I hear that the council is frustrated. Oh, so thank you so much for my release. Oh, you're not going to come against my son, are you? Like that frozen face. Ooh, you talk about an 8-fold fence. She's got hers is fully intact and terrifying. I'm interested in what her deal is. I love that the women in this show are all so strong in different ways. We're going to get to that in a second. But anyway, sorry, I got wrapped up in the ending there because I was not expecting it. Very interesting episode. Once again, not a ton of action. Way more focus on the characters, way more focus on the different people that are involved in this whole issue, this whole situation. But anyways, we had the return of Toranaga from where he went. He clearly went to go and find reinforcements. I had a feeling that's what he was doing, but with Toranaga, we just never really know. But anyways, he got a significant amount of people and brought them back because again, this is a war and he knows that if those guys attack at any time, that little village wasn't going to be enough. So I don't know if he went to Edo or what, but either way, he came back with people. And because of the spy, which of course even the son must have forgotten about, Toranaga already knew what had happened by the time he got back. He already knew that the attack had happened. And what I love about Toranaga, and I keep saying this, I kept saying in the episode, is that I love that this man is so bloody smart. I love strategic minds, and maybe it's because I'm not that strategic. Like, I definitely am someone who likes to have a plan in place, but I'm not someone who thinks like 5 steps ahead. I wish I was, but I really admire it when I see people who have that type of mind to place things and to like think things out to the point of like, it's not even just a matter of just an outcome. Like Toranaga is one of those people who like, he's building flowcharts. He's thinking out 6 to 7 different outcomes that can happen. Like if this happens, then if that happens, then if this happens, then like, he's got so many different things that he has thought about and figured out because that's the way his brain works. And what's more important is that he really understands the people he's dealing with, because none of this would work if Toranaga did not understand the people who are inside the other regions, like the people in the Regency. If he didn't understand the people under him, the people who are leading his, how's it called? I kept calling it a fight, but apparently it's a fief. Sorry. The people who are in his fiefs. Like Toranaga is someone who observes a lot. You notice the man doesn't say much. And usually the people who are very quiet, they're heavy observers. And that is something that has definitely served him because he looks, he learns, and then he acts according to that. And like I said, he's got plans laid out, but he's got several sub plans that he think could be possible outcomes just in case. And it's just so fun and fascinating to watch how these things are unfolding and how his plans and thought processes have folded into all of it. So in the situation with his son, we see that he comes back and he's like, okay, how are things going? good to hear about this whole thing with the cannons. And then we see that he meets first with, was it Mariko first or was it Yabashige? It was Yabashige. He met with Yabashige first. And he says to Yabashige, yeah, it's great. Good to see what you're doing here with the regiment. But he's like, I also heard that you were ordered to return to Osaka and pledge your allegiance to Ishido. What happened with that? Because that got back to me. And of course, Yabashige's like, oh yes, but of course I'm staying. He's like, and you're okay with staying here and becoming a fugitive? That's cool with you? And he's like, oh yeah, of course. If that's what has to happen. He's like, interesting. He's like, well, and then about my son, what happened with this whole killing of Jozen? That you had nothing to do with that? You didn't maybe, I don't know, put that in my son's head to maybe kick that off? Oh, no, what are you talking about? I would never. He's like, really? And then he's like, yeah, I know my son. I've known that man since he took his first breath. I know he's not smart enough to think of something like that. Are you sure? He didn't hear something from one of y'all? From you or maybe your nephew? I don't know. And then Yamashige, that little, I'm not surprised because snakes will slither. But he's like, yeah, you're right. My nephew, that little jerk. I don't know what he did. I know it wasn't me, but I'll discipline him. Don't worry. It's like, he's just so slimy. But what I love is that I love that Toranaga does not trust this man and 1,000% anticipated that he would do anything but take responsibility for what he did. Just like he didn't take responsibility for almost getting him, the engine assassinated back at his house. So he's like, okay, sure. So he's like, all right, well, don't worry about it. He's like, actually, what your nephew did, you don't need to discipline him. In fact, praise him. And of course, Yabashige's like, what do you mean? I thought, and he's like, no. He's like, someone is going to have to this war was going to happen one way or another. There was going to be a spark. It was just a matter of who was going to pull the first, who was going to be the person to set off to light the charge. We knew it was going to happen. And now he's like, if I'd had to go there, he's like, we could have never attacked Osaka. The way it was right now, we would have lost. But now, thanks to your son or your nephew's brilliant thinking, now they're going to come to us and we are in a defensible position because they're going to have to bottleneck to come in here. And now, thanks to John's strategy, we're covered by sea and I got enough people to cover the bottleneck of coming in. So they're going to have to filter through us. And that's great. I couldn't have planned that better myself, even though he kind of low-key did. But let's be real. Toranaga obviously thought that was a possibility. He didn't want to have to be the one to kick it off, but he probably knew that there was a very good chance that somebody was going to do it. And that was one of the outcomes he would have wanted. Now, do I think he actually saw everything happening the way that it did with his son being the one to kick it off? No. But it was definitely a possibility he entertained. And I said that last episode that I think if I know Toranaga, this was definitely a possibility he knew was there. Maybe not his first choice, but it was there. So anyways, I just love seeing how his mind works and the fact that by him saying that, oh yeah, tell Omi that I'm going to be giving him control of the artillery division going forward because he deserves a pat on the back for doing that little solid for me. Thank you. And Yabashige, as usual, lost. That man is Yabashige is only good at sweet talking. That's about it. The man's got a mouth. The man's able to, he's got the gift of gab, but he does not have the mind that Toranaga has. He's nowhere. As I said, he's playing checkers. Toranaga is playing 6 levels deep chess. And that's why he's completely behind the 8 ball in all of this. He doesn't understand how it's all happening. And he's like, great. So now I got to go tell my nephew that he's promoted, even though I literally tried to throw him under the bus. And then back it up and run over him a few more times. So I love that. I love seeing how Toranaga absolutely handled that situation. And then we also see that kind of rolls into him having this conversation with his son. We see he talks to Mariko first. And because, I guess I should have brought up the fact that Toranaga brings back Buntaro. I told y'all back in episode 2, I don't think he died. If I didn't see him die, I'm not believing it. I feel like the fact that they did that very stereotypical cinema thing where he just disappeared into a place where the audience couldn't see anymore. There's the assumption, the expectation that he died, but I didn't see it. So I'm like, I feel like Buntaro is going to show up again. The guy was pretty badass. He made it all the way to the dock by himself. So sure enough, he's back. He's alive. And of course, Toranaga respects him. He's a very good warrior. And as he just demonstrated tonight, which we'll get to, he don't miss. He's not somebody you get rid of. You need all of your good soldiers in a war like this. And so he's back. And of course, this causes a whole new sea of problems for Mariko because she was sitting there secretly rejoicing that this man was out of her life. And again, if we're to believe that last episode was her, she's ready to move on. And now this is sinking a huge monkey wrench in things. So anyway, her and Toranaga have their conversation. And Toranaga tells her, I want your husband to move into the house with you because I need you to stay there, keep an eye on the engine, and also keep translating for us. And she doesn't say anything because what's she supposed to say, right? There's nothing she can really say about this, even though it's highly uncomfortable. But then he asks about his son. He's like, what happened? Like, are you certain my son was the one who came up with this whole plan to take out Jozen and the others. And of course, she's like, I really don't know, to be honest. Like, I just know he gave the order, but I don't know what happened. And from there, that's when I knew that Toranaga was like, yeah, I know my son ain't smart enough for all that. My son may be many things, but smart, he ain't smart like that, okay? After that conversation, he and his son have a conversation, and we see that the son is doing like we saw back in episode 1. He's bringing the pheasants that he hunted and trying to basically get back in his dad's good graces because he knows his dad will be upset with him for acting without permission, but he doesn't realize the levels. Again, his son doesn't even understand that his dad understands him better than he thinks he knows. And he explains to him, like, he gives the analogy of the falcons. So basically, he kind of let his son know, like, you're the idiot who fell for the bait, and Yabashige is the person who orchestrates things to make that happen. He's like, anyone can be, can be changed. Anyone can be molded the way that you want to. Any man can fall prey to that. And he basically said to his son that if you don't understand that yet, then you are nowhere near ready to do anything, let alone lead an army. So he took away the artillery division from him in that moment. And he basically said, you're going to call me Lord from now on, because you need to understand that even though you're dad, there is a hierarchy here, and you clearly dismissed it, and you didn't even dismiss it for a good reason. You dismissed it for foolery. So that's where they're at right now. I mean, he clearly, could have been worse. He wasn't even so much mad about the move, which again, I don't think he was going to be mad about the move. It was more that he let someone manipulate him into doing it, and that he didn't recognize he was being manipulated. So that, I think, is really what, disappointed Toranaga more. Like I kept saying, like, this child is so different from him, and I really would love to know if it's because that's just naturally the way he is, or did Toranaga kind of not rate? Because I mean, obviously his son didn't bounce around from gangster to gangster like Toranaga did in his youth, but like, it feels like he just grew up with a completely different upbringing. And I don't know that Toranaga has been teaching him these lessons. So that was Toranaga and his son. They're still okay, but I mean, thankfully his son kind of took it on the chin with losing the regiment. At least that's what we think for now. We'll see what happens in the upcoming episodes. But so yeah, that happened. And then we had the situation. Actually, I'm going to come to the situation with John and Mariko and Bintaro and Fuji in a second. But let's just talk very quickly about what's going on back in Osaka. We see that eventually Osaka got wind of the fact that Jozen is dead. They sent the body back because they kind of had to. At some point, he would have had to return anyway. So now they know that there's no playing around. That part is ticked off. Before that head arrived, though, the 4 regents got together. They're back on board with saying that we have to impeach Toranaga, who already quit. We got to fire the guy that already resigned. Okay, good luck with that. But yeah, once again, he's like, it's great that we're back on the same page. Ashido was saying this, is like, but unfortunately, because he quit, we can't. And Toranaga played us again, and he's got us stuck in a deadlock again, and we fell into it. So what do we do? So they agreed that they need to bring in a 5th regent so they can go ahead with this impeachment, which again is stupid, because how do you impeach somebody that's already fired? But anyhow, then they said they're going to bring in another one, and they're fighting again. They don't know who. One person suggests someone, that one's like, I don't want that person. Another person suggests someone, I don't want no Christians, right? So as I said in the reaction, someone in my comments mentioned that they believe that Toranaga already anticipated that they would have struggles over who to pick as the 5th regent, and he was right about that. But now with this attack that happened on Jozen, there's probably going to be a bit of a fire under them to hurry up and pick somebody. But anyhow, outside of that, we see that Lady Ochibane returned to Osaka at long last. And we don't know very much about her. Like I said in the beginning, we don't know very much at all about her. And I have my theories, but she said like basically nothing back in episode 2. But we just saw, and I talked about this at the beginning of the review, that she's got vested interest in what's going on with the Regency, how things are going, do they have Toranaga under control, etc. And she's saying that the reason she's concerned about this is because of her son. And I just have a feeling, I just don't get the sense that this woman is dumb or dense. I think she very much recognizes that Ishido doesn't really care about her or her son like that. We heard that lady, that older lady who takes care of her son, say back in episode 1 or 2? Episode 2, where she said that, that once you're out of the picture, like if Ishido succeeds in taking you out, Toranaga, he's going to go up for the heir next because he doesn't want the heir to come up, right? So I got to think that Ochibana knows this. Or I hope it's Ochibana. I can't remember her name. But anyway, the heir's mother. I just feel like she's not that dense. I think she knows that Ishido doesn't really care about her. But the dynamic between them, like Ishido looks scared of her. Like the fact that he stayed knelt when she was standing up and walking over to him and looking, like the body language and the way it was angled says to me that Ishido is scared of her, or at the very least he highly respects her. And it's not to say he shouldn't, because she's technically, I think, still has some level of authority. She has some level of position because she was the late Taiko's wife or baby mama, but it just seemed like more than that to me. His facial expressions, the way he was acting, he looked genuinely scared of her. So I got to think there's more going on with her. Maybe she thought she had Ishido in her pocket, and that's the reason why she wanted Ishido's plans to go through. But yeah, I don't know. She seems like she's got a whole agenda going on right now, a completely separate one that we haven't been exposed to yet as an audience. So I'm very interested to find out what that is. But yeah, their dynamic is very interesting, and I want to find out more about that. But yeah, that's what's going on right now in Osaka. And then finally, the other big bulk of this episode was the drama in the Hatamoto house. The soap opera, the days of Hatamoto's lives that was going on in that house. So as I mentioned before, Buntaro was back and he's ordered to stay in the same house as his wife, which I'm sure at a high level, Toranaga was like, yeah, that should be fine. I mean, they're married. It makes sense. They're not going to be away from each other. Cool. But of course, as an audience, we know that Mariko was not sad about her husband dying, and she certainly does not want that man back there now that she's developed feelings for John. But anyhow, they have to deal with it. And so basically, when John finds out about it, he asks Mariko, do I need to be worried? Is there something I should know? And she tells him, like, don't worry about it. It's good. Which is the right answer, right? Because in her mind, if she's still, even if she was the woman who snuck into his room last episode, she did not want him to know that, clearly. So she's got to keep up the facade either way. And we see that, Buntaro comes back and he is still ever the misogynist he ever was. And he doesn't want to be there. He does not have any respect for John, but he's doing what he's doing because of Toranaga. And I really like that we see that, Fuji now is on board. Like, she's seen enough of John and had enough good interaction with John that she respects him. And I didn't realize that Buntaro was her uncle. But anyway, she basically, her uncle's like, oh, where's the barbarian? What's going on? And she's like, I don't know what barbarian you're speaking of, but if you're asking about the Hatamoto, I can tell you about that, right? So she kind of lets him know and draws the line that you're not going to be disrespecting him to me, and I'm not going to be disrespecting him just because you don't like him. So I really kind of like that. And again, it shows that Fuji and John have bonded on their own little level, which is cool. And then we see that the fateful dinner happens, and poor Mariko is just wanting this dinner to end. She does not want these two men in the same room together. But John is feeling threatened to some degree, and Buntaro just doesn't like him. Like, I don't think at that point that Buntaro thought anything was going on. Although we heard Buntaro ask Fuji, is he sleeping with you? Basically, is he making you have sex with him? And she's like, no, like he prefers the company of other women. And Buntaro gets a look on his face, and I think it crosses his mind that his wife might have done something. And of course, with the presumption that he's been dead, I think part of him might be like, maybe he might have bedded my wife because she was a widow. But, I don't think he actually believes anything could have happened. But either way, they have their dinner, and John, like I said, I think John is feeling a bit threatened because obviously he likes Mariko a lot, and he was very much, whether he is consciously aware of it or not, he very much was starting to think about the two of them pursuing their relationship, and now this is a giant roadblock in his way. And they have their conversation, and we see what I thought was really masterful is the culture clashes, right? This is another moment where there's a culture clash. John, he's trying to open up some dialogue and maybe take some of the chill out of the air by asking Buntaro to talk about how he managed to escape. War stories and hero stories, people like that, right? They make whole Hollywood franchises off of the heroic return or the heroic exploits of people in war. But not every culture views war in that way. And also, truthfully, I think in Buntaro's case, it was just very fresh. Like, he had just gotten out of that situation. So I think there was still a lot of PTSD for him about what he had to do and what he experienced, and seeing all the people who helped him get out, all but one died. Like, I don't think he was ready to even talk about that. And, what he said about there's nothing really heroic about fighting and dying. And then you see this was just sadly a cultural clash there, because John, not understanding the culture, just thought, oh, I thought this was good. Like, it's hyping you up. And Buntaro considered it to be offensive for him to ask about that. And I think that's just also a Japanese culture thing, because I know that Japanese culture has always been one where they don't really like the idea of you trying to be the shining star. You're supposed to kind of try to fit in. And what's the expression that the nail that stands up gets hammered down? Like, so it's just overall culturally not comfortable to put a spotlight on yourself. And John doesn't know this. And he takes it the wrong way when Buntaro's like, no, I don't want to talk about myself. You talk about yourself. And then John's like, well, I don't really want to, like, and I'm not a soldier. And besides, like, I thought we were talking about you. And poor Mariko is just really like, can we just not? Like, can we just diffuse this and let it go? But John is stubborn. And her husband is stubborn. And then the drinking contest happens. And as soon as the sake is involved, I know things are going to go to hell in a handbasket because liquor and ego never go well together. Ego with anything is always a bad combo, but add liquor or drugs and it's just like, okay, so the drinking competition happens. And because everybody is now highly emotional, and again, I will give this much to Buntaro in that, like, I think he literally is dealing with a lot right now with just recently escaping. It's not the time for him to have his volatile emotions at the forefront. And John's out here and John is picking at him. John is challenging him. But again, John, I don't think he's not doing it from a place of, he's not necessarily doing it from a bad place. John is just reacting the way that he would react to somebody else from his background, right? Like almost kind of the way that you see him bantering with the Spanish pilot, right? The way they be trading insults and saying stuff. Like he thinks this is just kind of some, you know, manly bonding stuff, but he's not realizing or not picking up on the fact that Buntaro is not playing right now. And he's not picking up on Mariko, who's begging him at this point. She's like, please, John, like, can we go to bed? Like, Fuji's tired. My husband is drunk. Please, let's just let this go to bed so we can have a peaceful night. And John is not listening. John doesn't want to hear it. And we see things escalate until John basically is like, oh, I just don't think that you're, you know, I don't know. He makes some kind of comment about the bow thing. And I'm like, bro. And then we see Buntaro, of course, because he's a man who cannot let a challenge go. He goes and he shows his archery skills. And I got to say, they're impressive. Like, Buntaro is a dick. The man's a dick who makes really bad decisions. But he's a good shot. He's a damn good shot. Damn good archer. And I just thought that whole scene was amazing. Like between him doing it, John panicking and thinking that Mariko is going to get hit because Buntaro is drunk. But the fact that, first of all, for two reasons, Mariko doesn't move. A, because she knows if she moves, it's going to be interpreted by her husband as her not having faith in his ability to take the shot. Which, again, I think in her deep down inside, she was worried that the sake might have affected his aim. And two, I also think she was like, I've seen my husband shoot a couple billion times and he's probably going to be just fine. Like, I'm pretty sure it's going to be just fine. So anyways, it's just, the whole scene to me was just really cool. Just her being stoically, perfectly still. And then Buntaro, of course, just making the shot not once, but twice, right? And anyways, we see that, of course, John is absolutely shaken. He's mad. And again, he keeps forgetting that this culture is different and that they take things very literally here, that maybe in other parts of the world they don't, at least at that time. And so he's like, please respect your wife more. Like, I think you should respect her more. And so Mariko kind of stands up for herself in this moment because she doesn't have to translate that. She tells him the truth because, yeah, she's not happy about the fact that this man shot an arrow by her face twice. And he basically, of course, that just ignites even more for Buntaro, right? It's just mounting what's already an escalated situation. So anyways, inevitably at some point, the night ends. But unfortunately, we see that Buntaro continues to make really bad choices and he takes it out on his wife. And John wakes up hearing it. And by the time he shows up, Buntaro's already left, but Mariko has taken a pretty good beating, unfortunately. And she does not want John to see it. She doesn't even want Fuji to see it. But John, of course, busts through and he's angry, understandably so. And he wants to face off. He wants to fight. And I'm like, John, like, I get where John's coming from, and I'm never going to be mad at a man who wants to take out a man who puts his hands on a woman. I've always said more men need to stand up against other men when they see that kind of violence. It's just more the entire situation and how it came about that I was like, oh, John, oh, this is going to be messy. You know what I mean? It's just the repercussions that will come from this are going to be very messy if you do it. But I wouldn't have been mad if he did it. I wouldn't have, honestly, just because you put hands on a woman, then I feel like you've already forfeited your life. But digressing. But we see that Buntaro realizes that he should not have done any of that. Not so much, I don't think he was mad about the assault, unfortunately, but more so he knows that by doing what he did in the Hatamoto's house, that John is actually in the right to come after him. So you see, he sits down, lays down his sword. He's like, all right, if you got to kill me, so be it. I'm the one who made the mistake. And they're in public here. And again, this hits John again. The reminder that he is not in Europe anymore. This slap in the face that he's in a completely different culture and that things are different here. And he doesn't get it. And he doesn't always agree, But he ends up leaving. He doesn't want to take this life because when John's, like he said, he kept telling him to get up. Like, I'm not going to just take you out while you're bowed head in front of me. And he goes back and we see that the next day he goes to check on Mariko, and Mariko tells him, like, what happened last night was my fault, which it wasn't. And I'm glad that John told her, like, you can never take accountability for someone choosing to put hands on you. Like, that is not on you. But then she basically talks about how she basically lets him know at that point that she has her way of dealing with this, and that she doesn't hate her husband because that would be giving him more emotion than he deserves. Oh, and I suppose I should touch on the fact that we finally get the backstory of Mariko's family. She touched on it back in the last episode, but she never finished it. But now we know the history behind why she said she was held back from getting her justice. We now know that story, and John kind of heard that. He's saying to her, like, you need to free yourself of this man. Like, you can't just stay with him. And she's just like, bro, you don't understand anything. And it's a really difficult conversation because John is not wrong in that it's true. No one should ever have to stay in an abusive relationship or any relationship that they've considered to be toxic or unhealthy to them. But it is not, there's so many other factors that John is not considering. Another factor, she has a child. What does that put her child? What position does that put her child in? Many cultures, children of single parent families, they didn't have an easy time of it. It was not a good thing. The point is there was a lot of factors. And John's simplistic answer of just leave, while right, it's not, right? It's not that easy. It's not a simple answer. And so we see Mariko basically say to him, like, I don't expect you to understand why I do what I do, why we do what we do, but you're going to respect it. But I do understand what he's saying around, you're not living your life for yourself. You're living your life for other people. And are you really okay with that? Because I do get the sense that Mariko is not okay with that. So anyway, that's what kind of happened with that family drama. And then the other side of that family drama was John bringing the pheasant back that was gifted to him from Toranaga and refusing to take it down, letting it sit outside the house and get nasty and die because he wanted to show respect or show that he respected the gift that Toranaga gave him. And like I said in the episode, I'm not 100% sure how much of that was him genuinely being flattered at this gift or just him being a little bit petulant because he's mad at Toranaga for not giving him his way. But either way, this dying pheasant outside the house, as you can imagine, I can only imagine the stench. Oh my God. That's going on. And he's telling everybody, like, don't touch it or you'll die. And again, he wasn't being serious, but cultural differences, he didn't realize that, as Mariko put it, here in Japan, words mean things. We don't meaninglessly say things, particularly when we're in a position of power. So you need to be careful about that. So he, of course, did not know that. And I don't blame John in the least for what went down. Although I think keeping the dead pheasant was a bit much, like, sir. And then we see that, unfortunately, the gardener who we met last episode, who seemed like a very sweet soul, apparently he was already ill. And he thought that, he didn't have much time left. So he's like, I will take the hit. I will take the bird down. And you can put me to death for disobeying the order because, I've made my peace. And John comes back after that argument with Mariko, and it's like yet another hit of that culture shock when he finds out that the gardener is gone, and it's because of a rule that he arbitrarily made in this house. And of course, then we see Fuji goes on her knees and says, well, because I'm the one, I should have stopped him from doing it. It's my responsibility. You can take me out in the whole household if you want. So, John is just like reeling and like, I cannot believe that this culture, is doing this. I can't believe that they take these types of things seriously. And we see that he goes to Toranaga and he's like, send me home, bro. Like, let me go on my ship and leave. Because in my viewpoint, you guys don't value life. But I also think it shows, once again, the cultural differences and the fact that in John's eyes, the way they handle things, the way that they feel about honor, the way that they handle things around hierarchy, he doesn't agree with them. He feels like it means that that their lives don't mean anything or that they don't value it. Whereas Mariko was trying to explain to him that no, like in the gardener's perspective, he was already going to die. So him being able to do this thing where he helped to bring peace back to the village and actually give like a purpose to his life before it ended, he feels like he died honorably. This is why it's so important to understand that when it comes to cultures and viewpoints, this is why it's so important to be respectful and even hear it out. You don't have to agree, but if you can just even hear it out and understand where people have different perspectives, that's just the way the world is, right? So you might look at something and think it's ugly where someone else will look at it and think it's beautiful. So yeah, I just really like that recurring theme. And again, just reinforcing to John that he is not in Kansas anymore. But I think he just needs to understand that while he is still here, for however long that's going to be, he's going to have to learn that this is different and accept that this culture is not going to adapt to him. He has to adapt to it to really survive. And then we see that, you know, even though he didn't get quite through, even though he went and requested from Toranaga to go home, Toranaga said, listen, I know there's some weird days of our life stuff going on between you and Mariko. Y'all figure it out because I'm not here to deal with it. I got bigger things to worry about. And then we see that they have another earthquake, which we had one last episode, and I was wondering if there'd be aftershocks. This one looks like it was bigger than the one we saw last episode, and it causes a massive landslide. And that landslide, we almost lose Toranaga. To get something like that right as they're supposed to be preparing for war, not good, but a part of life. And we see that in that moment of Toranaga almost dying, John flung into action and managed, he was the one who ended up finding him and helping pull him out and save his life. Really good episode, again, really focused heavily on the characters. And as I said, I just kind of like some of the themes that they talked on as far as some of the things around Japanese culture at that time, but just how it's possible to get through these things, but it takes a lot of understanding on both sides as well. Because please don't even get me started on them with the rabbit stew. But yeah, good episode, guys. Another really good episode. I'm very much looking forward to the next, and I enjoyed this one a lot. So I hope you enjoyed watching along with me. If you did, please show some love, and I will see you in the next one.